Hi everyone, welcome to another Sunday Smile. My name is Ebtihal Badawi. I'm an artist. My art is expressionistic, where I use my feeling and words to express how I feel. And each painting is a journey to learn about myself, about the world. And I love to bring people together, connecting different people together to bring us together and building stronger community. And that's why I create Sunday Smiles. And today we have a very special guest. She's so talented and she's amazing, and
Oh, thank you.
her energy is so beautiful and bright as the rainbow behind her.
Thank you, Tihal.
And her name is Aya. She's a makeup artist. Aya, I'm gonna give you the mic.
Okay, so I'm Aya Tariq. I'm from Saudi Arabia, and I'm a makeup artist based between New York and Jeddah. So when Tihal spoke to me, it was funny because it kind of like the universe just came together, because I've been doing a lot of research on creativity and art therapy and all of that. So when she spoke to me, I was like, yes, the answer is yes, let's do this. I was so excited and happy that you reached out, because I just felt like it was just the right time. Like I was just like asking a question and I got an answer, just like what we talked about yesterday. So I was already in the middle of remembering my journey with art, because I view makeup as an art, which I didn't always view it that way. And then I started just like writing these notes down, and I've been reading a lot about like the creative journey and being like creatively like blocked, and also with quarantine and being home, we're not out doing a lot of things for the longest time. So artists, like, we need to be around other artists, but we also like need solitude. So it's like a balancing act. So I wrote a lot of like, not a lot, like I wrote some points that I felt would be great for anybody who is either interested in art or who's already in the art world. And it's the kind of thing, not, I'm not saying this because like, oh, I know better than anybody else. I hope nobody takes it that way. But I almost wrote it just for myself as well, because I feel like as artists, we go through cycles of being like very proud of ourselves. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm doing really great. I don't know what I'm doing. So I wrote some points down and I would like to share it with everybody. So the first thing that I wrote is that everyone that is in the art world should be, or like just starting to be in the art world, should be consuming art and should be consuming it intentionally. What I mean intentionally is that when you're bored, don't just go on your Instagram. Don't just look at the popular page and just look at things without like stopping and appreciating them, or actually looking at the artist, knowing who did this makeup or who made this painting and why did they make it. That's the problem that we have with technology or social media in general, is that we're just looking at people's work without knowing the story behind it, and we're seeing a finished product, and we're also just looking at everything. It's not just the things that we like that speak to us. So it's kind of like your eyes and your thoughts and everything's being contaminated, that you don't even know who you are as an artist anymore, because there's so much input that happens, that comes into our brains, and we need to filter that out. So if you really want to be an artist or you want to start your journey with art, I think this is like a very important point, is consume art and consume it like intentionally, and be present, look up the people, do the research. So that's the second point. Doing the research. A lot of people, when they think, for example, about Picasso, they only think of like 3, 4, 10 painting the most. They don't know that the guy made so many paintings, so many sculptures, so many, like, he was experimenting the whole time. He went through a lot of things in his life, and his art like shifted with every period in his life. For example, the blue period, like, there's a lot of people know what the blue period with Picasso was, does anyone in the chat have an answer? I wonder.
I'm muting Melissa. She know. Just a second. Let me. Why can't I mute?
It made you ask me to unmute me. It's very bizarre. No, he went through a period where he was very heavily into different colors. Blue was one of them, and a lot of his work is kind of twilight looking from that period, and a lot of his famous pieces came out of that period too.
Right. But the context is, that's true. And the thing is that inspired the blue and the muted colors was because his friend committed suicide. So that, like, those are the colors of like sadness. Those are the colors of depression. There's a lot that he was going through a journey in Spain, and he felt also like what was going on, like with the civil wars in Spain and everything. So he was really touched by that. So he made a lot of art pieces that were just blue. And then when he had his child, then you see like all the paintings started to like have like the swell shapes where people looked like bigger and like more like muscular and everything, because he was just, I think, expressing some sort of happiness that's like so overwhelming to even like for your body, is like to having his old child.
You are muted. Just a second. Oh, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Okay. So it's very important to gain context. It's very important to know what the artist was going through so you can understand how that influenced their work. I'm going to just keep saying this. And Instagram is not good for that, because you just see the finished work and you don't know why the artist chose the colors. Why did they choose to do a painting with muted colors, and what influenced their choice at the time? And it doesn't give you like a back story. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So another thing about like knowing your references and knowing your influences, like I love Alexander McQueen. He's a designer. And I remember I was in the US when he died, and I was so upset because he was one of the people that I've always dreamed of working with. And I watch his documentaries, like I sit and watch all of his documentaries probably like twice or 3 times a year. And there's one of them that I always watch. And everyone in the documentary is like, he's a genius, he's amazing, he's this and he's that. But like, he stole from a lot of people. And I say stole, I don't know if anybody read Steal Like an Artist, this book.
I did.
It's
awesome.
So great.
It's awesome. I love that author. I read all his books.
Me too. Such good books. Very amazing, like, author and artist too. But Alexander McQueen was very smart. So he was like, this is the best thing about doing research. You search Alexander McQueen and then you're like, but who influenced him? Because we're not reinventing the wheel. And that's the thing, like with art, we're all think like, oh, we're going to do something new. It's like the people that you admire are already studying other people who they admire, who are studying other people who they admire. So it's good to just know their references. And I found out about Francis Bacon, who is a painter, in a different like context. But then when I saw him, I was like, wait, he's very dark, just like Alexander McQueen is. I wonder if Alexander McQueen liked him. And it turned out that Alexander McQueen studied Francis Bacon obsessively, and also the Chapman's brother, I think, and other like 5 people. So, you know that saying that you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most, and your income is the average of 5 people you're around. your art is also the average of 5 people that you consume. That's what I'm figuring out with this.
So true.
It's so true. The other thing, artists need solitude, not loneliness. So we need to unplug. We need to unplug from our social media. We need to unplug from everything that's going on in our life. Like unplug from the identity of being a mom. It's okay to do it. I need rich friends. Me too. You need to unplug from just 2 hours a week is what I'm talking about. Just 2 hours a week of being by yourself. You already done the research. You already know what kind of art you love, or you're just still experimenting. That's okay. But you already done the research. You already fed your eyes the things that you want to attain later. So it's very important to just like, can I show you something? I have something here. It's
yes,
like,
of course.
it's funny. Hold on.
I love the unicorns. The stars and their unicorns. It's really
right?
cool.
I have, look at this. This is my creative box. So I have just like little like things from like the dollar store. I have paints, I have glitter, I have just like stuff like this, you know. The art, it's not necessarily like I have feathers. It's not like necessarily makeup related really, but it is at the same time, because you can do anything you want, you know. You just need time to play, I guess, and just like need time with no one giving you feedback. You just need to like work on something enough and not compare yourself with others. And it's hard to say that because it's not easy not to compare yourself to others, but it's more about letting, like, the best thing you can do with creativity and your creative ideas is letting your ideas marinate and take shape. So that's why solitude is important. So work on something, just put it on the shelf and then come back to it later and you'll see it with a fresh eye kind of thing. So it's so important to give yourself space, not to have any input or get anyone's opinion for a while. So those are the things that are like just in general, but then there's a lot of things that like you need to know yourself, like watch your routine or watch your energy. Like people always say you have to have a routine, because you do. As artists, like we're a mess. We're a mess. Our heads are a mess. I wake up every day with killer anxiety and I have to slow down. So I have to sit down, and I've been trying this new thing when I'm just like journaling in the morning. So I write like the morning pages.
Me too. I started that too.
I love the morning pages. If anyone doesn't know it, it's this book, The Artist's Way. So I started reading it, and the journaling have helped me just get all the trash, like just dump the trash on paper and just move on. And then do like a to-do list for the day if you want. And just like, I am not high energy in the morning. And my parents have high energy. My mom is here. They have high energy. She's like, she wakes up and starts getting things done. I'm not like that. And for so long, I felt so guilty about this. But then I was just like, I don't have the energy to do anything that I have to think about. It has to be mindless. Like I will like do chores around the house. I would like empty the dishwasher, check my emails, respond to people, like things that doesn't take so much like of like creative energy. My creative energy is between 1:30 to 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. That's when I'm just like, oh, I want to do something. I always notice that. So it's very important to observe and then create the rest of your routine depending on that, if that's something that you really want to do with your life. Because a lot of people like just read like successful people send emails at 4 a.m. It's like, that is not possible. We don't all have these circumstances, right? And we don't all have the same energy. We don't all create the same way. So like honor yourself instead of just beating yourself into submission. It doesn't work that way. You just, when you're just disencouraging yourself and you're putting goals that doesn't work for you as a person. It's very personal. Your creativity is very personal. Your routine is very personal. So that's, I think, is very like important point. The other thing is that with art, it's not only about repetition, it's also about feedback. But do you need repetition? Yes. But if you do something 5 times, it doesn't work, just ask for feedback. Because it might be that you're using simply the wrong brush or the wrong paint. Or maybe you're not like waiting enough for the paint to dry. Or you're just using, like with me with makeup, I might be just one shade away from the right shade, you know? So I just wrote, when you ask for feedback, you have to ask wisely, and you have to choose the people that you're like, you have to be very picky about the people that you ask for feedback from. I remember being in makeup school, and it's attached to a brand. In the makeup school, I remember anything that I did, they were like, it looks great, but it's not like the owner of the company. She wouldn't do something like that. It's like, I'm trying to figure out who I am as an artist. I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm trying not to compare myself here to anybody, but you guys are comparing me to people. So that's not good. I don't think that's good for artists, especially beginner artists, you know? The other thing is that look for feedback from someone who is on the same journey as you. So if I'm doing something that's, for example, for me, it's beauty, then I will seek a beauty makeup artist to give me feedback. If I'm doing something that's more artistic, I will ask an artistic makeup artist to give me feedback on that. How do you know you're getting bad feedback or good feedback? The good feedback, when you say like, hey, can you give me feedback on this artwork? The first question that the person will ask you questions like, what was your references? What were you trying to do? Okay, like they will be like more accurate. They might even guess the reference without you asking them because they know where you're coming from. And they're going to be accurate. They're going to give you a sense of relief because you're going to be like, yes, it makes sense that you said this, you know? Where bad feedback will be ambiguous. They don't know what to point out that they don't like. It will be a very shame tone, you know? Like, why did you even pick this color? What were you thinking? You know, and you'll find people like that, and it's not, and if it does happen, it's not personal. It's very important to remember that people just project things on us, and it's not really personal. Like, it's okay, get mad, get upset, talk to your best friend about it, but just get over it because it's about them. That's how they think about themselves. And also ask for feedback from someone who is a little bit less has less experience in the industry, because those are the people that are very focused on the basics, where people who are like where you are might like just be so into something new that they forget the basics. It's always like good to go back for the basics. So be friends with everybody. It's basically what I'm trying to say. And then your doubts, I think this is very important for all of us, especially for me. It's really important to remember that your doubts are not facts, they're clues. They're not something that are like factuals. Those are things that either your parents planted in your head, a teacher planted in your head, a partner planted in your head. They might not even mean it, you know? They might have had a bad day and they just said something to you like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense, you know? Or whatever it is. So those doubts will crawl back and they'll sneak up on you while you're doing something. Just be like, these are clues. They're not facts. They stay where they belong in the past. They might have been true in the past, but they don't belong here right now. So it's important to remember that. And it's so important to replace those with affirmation. And I was not very big on affirmation, you won't believe it, until last week. I was not an affirmation person. I always thought, why am I sitting there convincing myself of something, you know, like, or trying to push myself into believing in something, until when I was reading The Artist's Way, she spoke about how if you write, for example, you write, I'm a badass artist who deserves to be paid well. Then you'll have a thought that comes up to your head, like, why do you think you deserve to be paid well? And that's what's good about affirmation. It's not about the act of affirmation itself, but it's more about what is the voice that comes up when you try to affirm yourself. Examine that. Why is this coming up? Who said this? Try to pinpoint it. Try to figure it out, you know. Thank it, curse it, just leave it where it belongs. So the last point, I promise.
No, take. I love what you're saying. I can just sit here and listen to you forever.
Oh, thank you. And also, if anybody has a question, please go ahead. You need your village. It's very important to distinguish when you're being friendly with someone and who your true friends are. It's very important to make sure that people don't only show up when you're just in need of something, because some people just show up when you need something and when you're like in the worst space. Why do I say that? I say that because a lot of people try to play the hero and then rub it in your face later. Like, I did this for you when you were down. But they're not there to celebrate you. Anytime you come up with a new idea, or you're trying to go somewhere new, or you're excited about a job, they're not the ones clapping as well. So you want people who are there for both, for better and worse. So it's so important to have like your village, your little town, and surround yourself with people who are also honest. You know, if you're slacking, if you're saying you're going to do something, you don't do it. You really need people who hold you accountable, for like friends who hold you accountable for the things that you're not like, you're not doing, that you really need to do. So the last point is self-care. On a good day, when you feel happy about your art, or you feel happy just in general, it's really important to write yourself a letter and be like, I'm so great. I did this today. I slayed the dragon.
Okay, Melissa's painting is in the process of painting a dragon, and I don't know how far she is. Oh no, you are muted.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. It's the
I
dragon.
don't know why it mutes me.
It's
okay.
It's the dragon. It's the spirit of the dragon.
That's the spirit of the dragon. But write yourself a letter on a good day. And when you're having a bad day, you know, self-care is to like try to make yourself feel better. Face mask, it's great, but also read the letter you wrote to yourself. Go through all texts with friends and see the good texts that you got from friends and like read them. It's nice. It's so nice, and it's like so nostalgic to do that. Sit down and write down your favorite toys from your childhood, your favorite films, your favorite films, books, games, everything. If you can buy those stuff and have a little box with all your childhood like memories and stuff, I think that would be like really cool, and also could be really inspiring. The last thing in the self-care is like, just be kind to yourself and rest up. If you produce something that's really amazing, then it took a lot to produce something that's amazing. So you need to rest. You don't need to compete with yourself. Just go back to the points that I said in the beginning, and just go back to being like doing research. It's just like almost like a cycle. That's just like the cycle of art, I think, is just, you're going to be moving around all the time, and that's okay. But that's it.
I love it. I love it. So how did you realize, when did you realize that your passion for art is makeup? When did you?
Oh my God. I knew I wanted to be in the fashion industry from a very young age, I think, but I just didn't know what it was. But just naturally, I was middle school, I started playing with like hair products first. So I was like bleaching my own hair in middle school. And then by high school, I had clients, which is great. And I worked at a hair salon.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I would like have parties, and then like on my house, my poor parents, there's always like 10 girls around getting their hair and makeup done. And it's just like me, like having my friends like lay down, and I will just like do their makeup. Now I know as a makeup artist, you're not supposed to do that and let anyone lay down. You're supposed to have them sit and look straight in the mirror. So, so I've always like did it, but then there was a lot of like, in our society, if you're not a doctor, if you're not an engineer, if you're not a lawyer, if you're not a teacher, then everything else that you do is a hobby. So it was really hard for me to come to terms of being like, those are concerns. They're not like a way of our parents like pressuring us. They just have to voice their concerns. It's just normal. So I was just like, I want to be a makeup artist, and I have to like move to New York with my mom.
Like when she
like,
when she
I'm
wrote
gonna
that,
call you after this.
when she wrote that, I figured that was your mom.
But so I just like, I wanted to do makeup, and I was always interested. I was just like always like, why this looks so interesting. It's just, I love the eras, like when you watch old films, how everything looked so different, like the thin brows, the lipstick is like different, like how 1920s, like you can tell if a movie opens up with a scene of a girl with thin brows, smoky eyes all the way to the brows, and like pale skin and like red lip, you just know where you are in the movie, what year it was, you know? So I found that fascinating. So I started just looking into it, and then slowly I went to a makeup school. And then when I went to the makeup school, I met someone who works in film and TV, and they were like, you know, if you love this stuff, you can work in, you can do films. And I was like, oh yeah, there is makeup artists that do film. I didn't think of that. The actors do their own makeup. No. So I was like, oh, okay. So I got interested, and I decided to move to New York. And then when I was in school, that's the thing about school. They don't really teach you. It's not really about how to do makeup, but it's about how to think of makeup, and training you to look for what the right makeup is. So I just started like doing research, and every research that I did, every makeup artist that I found a photographer. And then the photographer is not only shooting with that makeup artist, he's shooting with a lot of different makeup artists. So the photographer would lead me to another makeup artist. And then I just started making a list of people that I really wanted to work with. And that list, thankfully, alhamdulillah, it came true, like 90% of it, which is great. So
that's awesome.
Like, and it's crazy because when I made the list, I remember this, like, 2 people saw the list. And one of them was a friend of mine who was also at the makeup school. And she was like, oh my God, these are like big names. This is like a dream. This is awesome that you have this. And someone else was like, girl, you're not like, just don't. Just, this is too much, you know? And this tells you a lot about, like, you know, really picking your friends,
yes,
you know?
Yes. You don't want to show her another list.
Yeah, exactly. So it's important to have like people who are like willing to be in denial of how crazy this might be and just go with it, you know? So I started, thankfully I did like a show with Pat McGrath and Marc Jacobs. That was amazing. I did some shows with Kabuki. I keep meeting people in the industry that just like are amazing. And I'm so grateful. And I could have not done it without my parents for sure, or like really good friends that I have here. And this is the thing, it's a journey, and you really want to take people with you, even if they're skeptical, you know, you still want to take the people who are still support you, even if they're like, I think this is crazy, but okay, fine, I'll go with you. I'll go there with you. You want those people, because those are the people that also will keep you from spending too much money on something that you don't need. Or it's good to have that. It's good to have people who don't always agree with you 100%. I feel like I'm contradicting myself, but it is really a balancing act, you know?
So you're so true. It's like we have only 3 minutes left.
Okay.
But I love all what you said. So true.
Thank you.
And I did before a self-love challenge for 21 days. And at the beginning of the challenge, we wrote a letter to ourselves, and at the end, you read the letter. But I never wrote a letter to myself after I love one of my artwork, and I'm gonna start to do that. So it's really helped. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. Someone asked a question earlier, and I
Yes,
just want to make sure I
yes,
answer.
guys, if you want to ask a question, this is the time to do it.
I think someone did earlier. I can't see it.
There's one in the chat that says, from Reem Faisal, if I said that, sorry about your name. I have a question, what to do when all the people around me are obsessed with work and are so far from creativity, at times I feel alienated. Where do I start from there?
Reach out to people. That's the best part about an Instagram. I was writing, I am a squeaky wheel. I'll admit that. I will DM people, I don't know, I will DM people who are like so far up, they'll never answer my message, but I will still like send emails and ask for feedback. And you just have to be sneaky, like start making comments, start building your community. Geography is not, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter where you are anymore, just because we're all connected on these platforms. So I know I criticize Instagram a lot, but it is one of the best ways to find people and connect with them. But
that's how
don't
we
just
did
reach out to anybody.
That's how we did it.
That's how we met. Yeah. And you just have to build like people who are doing just work, they're either have never been exposed to art, and you can't expect them to understand that, you know. So but like build a corner in your house and start playing and giving yourself 2 hours a week of just playing and like experimenting and not. Yeah, exactly.
So
And
it will close now after 1
sorry.
minute. It's okay. So can you write for them the names of the books that you say? And thank you so much, Aya, for joining us.
These are the 2 books if you want to take a screenshot real quick.
Thank
The
you so
Artist's
much.
Way and
I love
Steal
it.
Like an Artist.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Aya, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So today, work, you need to write a letter for yourself after you make a box